Brought to you by...
Today, I am reminded that there are horrors in this world that hide within plain sight, most overlooked by those who can do something about them, simply not wanting to see the terror that lurks right in front of them. Today, for Double Feature Friday, we step into the spotlight with violent crime sprees that rocked our reality and presented us with acts that remain brutally visceral, shockingly evil, and painfully unforgettable. Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Plex. For more information, stick around after the video to learn how to corral your movies, TV shows, and music from all your streaming services into one place. Stop scrolling, start streaming, get Plex. In 2019, we were given Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, directed by Joe Berlinger, which was a compelling exploration of the duality of evil, hidden beneath a mask of charm and purity. Based on the life of notorious serial killer Ted Bundy, and adapted from the memoir of his long-term girlfriend Elizabeth Kendall, the film offers a chilling portrayal of how evil can masquerade as goodness, exploiting societal perceptions and personal vulnerabilities to manipulate and destroy. At its core, the film challenges audiences to confront the discomforting truth that evil does not always present itself in grotesque or monstrous forms. Instead, it can be disarmingly attractive, articulate, and even charismatic. In fact, the film even refrains from saying his name in full until halfway through, in order to keep the disdain for a name so reviled in history as far from the viewer's mind as possible in its early stages. Ted Bundy, portrayed by Zac Efron, epitomizes the deceptive nature of evil. Bundy's physical appearance, intelligence, and charm allow him to defy the stereotypical image of a criminal. The film emphasizes this dichotomy by presenting Bundy not as a brutish or sinister figure, but as a loving partner, aspiring lawyer, and affable friend. This portrayal mirrors Bundy's real-life ability to manipulate those around him, including his victims, the media, and even the judicial system. Efron's performance is critical in illustrating this dissonance. His portrayal is understated, yet eerily convincing, capturing Bundy's boyish charm and charisma that made him a public spectacle during his trials. This choice forces the audience to grapple with their own biases about what evil actually looks like. Bundy's demeanor contradicts the horror of his crimes, underscoring the unsettling idea that outward appearances can obscure inner darkness. The film deliberately avoids depicting the murders in graphic detail, placing the focus instead on Bundy's interactions with those who believed him to be innocent. This perspective intensifies the psychological tension, as the audience knows the truth even as Bundy continues to deceive. Central to the film's narrative is Elizabeth Kendall, played by Lily Collins, whose perspective highlights the devastating impact of Bundy's duplicity. Elizabeth, a single mother, falls for Bundy's apparent kindness and stability, believing him to be the perfect partner. Her relationship with Bundy is portrayed as tender and sincere, which makes the eventual revelation of his crimes all the more earth-shattering. Liz's journey is one of gradual disillusionment, as she struggles to reconcile the man she loves with the horrific accusations against him. The film captures her inner turmoil through intimate moments, such as her bouts of alcoholism and her growing paranoia. Liz's experience serves as a microcosm of Bundy's broader manipulation of society. She is the embodiment of the vulnerability that Bundy preyed upon, both in his personal relationships and in his ability to convince the public of his innocence. At the start of the film, Ted seems like the perfect partner, charming, attentive, and deeply loving toward Liz and her daughter. This idyllic beginning sets the stage for the emotional trap he builds around her. Liz, as a single mother, finds in Ted a source of stability and support, which he weaponizes to create a sense of dependency. His love and devotion appear genuine, making her believe she has found someone who truly values her. This dynamic fosters a deep emotional bond that makes Liz hesitant to question Ted when cracks begin to form in his facade. As suspicions about Ted grow, he shifts his tactics from overt affection to subtle manipulation. He reassures Liz of his innocence, often reframing her concerns as personal insecurities or paranoia. By doing so, he undermines her trust in her own instincts and perceptions, making her doubt herself instead of him. This psychological manipulation lays the groundwork for the long-term erosion of Liz's mental health. One of Ted's most devastating weapons is his ability to gaslight her. Throughout the film, he insists on his innocence, with such conviction that Liz begins to question her own reality, even as damning evidence surfaces. His arrests, witness identifications, and eventually his trial, Ted continues to craft an alternate reality where he is the victim of a corrupt system. He frequently tells Liz that she's being manipulated by others, painting himself as the only one she can trust. This not only isolates her from potential support systems, but also traps her in a cycle of guilt and confusion. Ted's charm also ensures that others, including Liz's friends, buy into this lie, making Liz feel increasingly alone in her doubts. She becomes stuck in an impossible position. If she believes Ted, she is complicit in his crimes. If she doesn't, she risks losing the man she loves. This emotional conflict eats away at her, leaving her unsure of who she is or what she believes. As the evidence against Ted grows, Liz's mental state begins to unravel. The strain of living with someone who may be a murderer becomes unbearable, and she turns to alcohol as a coping mechanism. The film portrays Liz's downward spiral with painful clarity. She isolates herself, struggles to care for her daughter, and is haunted by her inability to reconcile the man she loves with the crimes he is accused of committing. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of Liz's psychological destruction is her internalized guilt. Ted, ever the manipulator, ensures that Liz feels responsible for his suffering, framing her doubts as betrayals. This guilt is compounded by her role in initially alerting the police to Ted's suspicious behavior. Although her actions were justified, Ted's ability to play the victim makes Liz question whether she made the right choice. Her guilt becomes a source of deep shame, further fueling her self-destruction. The turning point for Liz comes during her prison visit to Ted in the climax of the film. By this stage, she is emotionally exhausted, and her mental health has deteriorated to the point where she can no longer maintain the illusion of Ted's innocence. Her confrontation with him is both cathartic and devastating. She demands the truth, desperate for closure and validation for her suspicions. Ted's chilling confession, spelling out the word hacksaw on the glass, shatters all remaining hope Liz had that he might be innocent. This moment is not a victory for Liz, but a confirmation of her worst fears. The man she loved, trusted, and built a life with is revealed as a sadistic killer, and the weight of the realization is almost unbearable. Ted's final act of control, choosing how and when to reveal the truth, solidifies the depth of his psychological hold over her. Even in admitting his guilt, Ted ensures that Liz is left with the burden of his crimes. By the end of the film, Liz is a utterly broken woman, haunted by the emotional and psychological abuse she endured at Ted's hands. Her journey is a harrowing exploration of the toll that manipulation can take on a person's psyche. Ted's charm and calculated deceit leave Liz doubting her own judgment, isolating her from others, and driving her into a state of self-destruction. Although she ultimately finds a way to begin rebuilding her life, the scars of her relationship with Ted linger, a statement to the devastating impact of his manipulative tactics. Bundy's ability to mask his evil also speaks to a broader societal tendency to equate physical attractiveness and societal status with morality. The media frenzy surrounding Bundy's trials amplified this misconception. Women flocked to his court appearances, mesmerized by his good looks and charm, while journalists portrayed him as a tragic anti-hero rather than a cold-blooded murderer. The film captures this dynamic through scenes of Bundy performing for the cameras, turning his trial into a macabre spectacle. This phenomenon reveals a cultural blind spot, the reluctance to see evil in those who fit conventional ideals of success and attractiveness. Bundy weaponized this bias, using his charm to manipulate not only his victims, but also the legal system. The film critiques his societal vulnerability, suggesting that evil thrives when we prioritize appearances over substance, and allow charisma to overshadow evidence. The first and second acts deliberately frame Ted as a man wrongfully accused, painting him as a victim of a system seemingly out to get him. This portrayal, deeply tied to the perspective of his long-term girlfriend Liz, allows the audience to experience the same cognitive dissonance she felt during their relationship. By presenting Bundy as a devoted partner and a model citizen, the film creates a disconcerting sense of doubt and forces viewers to confront the ease of which a person's outward charm and calculated persona can obscure their true nature. This decision to portray Bundy in an innocent light is a deliberate narrative choice that aligns the audience with Liz's perspective. The film opens with tenderness between Ted and Liz, establishing him as a loving partner who steps into her life with enthusiasm and affection. Efron's charismatic portrayal enhances this illusion, capturing Bundy's boy-next-door charm and reinforcing the idea that he is a victim of mistaken identity. Early scenes emphasize his humanity, playing with Liz's daughter, making breakfasts, and offering support as a boyfriend, while keeping the brutal reality of his crimes completely off-screen. This approach lulls the audience into the same false sense of security that Bundy's victims likely felt. Throughout the first act, the evidence against Bundy is presented as circumstantial and ambiguous, allowing viewers to question the validity of the accusations. The film showcases his insistence on innocence, highlighting his frustration with law enforcement and his disbelief at being charged. Moments like his courtroom outbursts, where he rails against the system, and his interactions with Liz, where he assures her of his love and integrity, depict him as a man under siege, rather than a calculated monster. This framing draws attention to Bundy's manipulation, of not only Liz, but of us as the audience, mirroring his real-life ability to control public perception. The film also uses media's portrayal of Bundy to reinforce his supposed innocence. Television interviews, courtroom coverage, and public reactions frame Bundy as a figure of fascination rather than condemnation. Women flock to his trials, captivated by his charm and good looks, while reporters describe him as a clean-cut and intelligent man. This public spectacle feeds into the illusion of innocence, as Bundy skillfully uses his charisma to court sympathy and skepticism about his guilt. One particularly striking scene involves Bundy's televised statement during the trial, where he passionately declares his innocence to the camera. His articulate demeanor and calm confidence starkly contrast the gruesome nature of his alleged crimes, creating a sense of cognitive dissonance for both the characters within the film and for us as the audience. The media becomes a stage for Bundy's performance, blurring the line between reality and fabrication, and illustrating how public perception can be easily manipulated to serve a narrative of victimhood. Bundy's portrayal as a man being railroaded by the justice system is central to the first two acts of the film, particularly in how he poses himself as the victim of a flawed legal process. His decision to act as his own defense attorney is depicted as an act of defiance against a system he claims is biased and corrupt. These courtroom scenes highlight Bundy's intelligence and ability to manipulate the judicial process, as he deftly challenges witnesses and engages in legal theatrics that cast doubt on the prosecution's case. While the film paints Bundy as innocent throughout much of the first and second acts, subtle cracks in the illusion begin to emerge as the story progresses. Moments of tension, such as Bundy's evasive answers to Liz's questions, or his suspicious behavior, hint at the darkness lurking beneath his charming exterior. These moments foreshadow the eventual revelation of his guilt, creating a sense of unease that grows as the film approaches its climax. The turning point comes when Liz begins to confront the truth about him, culminating in her realization that she has been complicit in his deception. This shift mirrors the audience's own reckoning with Bundy's guilt, as the carefully constructed facade of innocence collapses under the weight of undeniable evidence. The courtroom scenes are a pivotal aspect of the film, showcasing his mastery of manipulation. The judge, played by John Malkovich, even acknowledges Bundy's intelligence and potential, further highlighting the dissonance between Bundy's outward persona and his inner monstrosity. These scenes also reveal the limits of the justice system in dealing with individuals like Bundy. The system's reliance on decorum and rationality makes it vulnerable to exploitation by those who understand its weaknesses. Bundy's ability to delay his execution for years through legal maneuvers underscores this point, showing how his facade of purity allowed him to manipulate even the mechanisms of justice. Ultimately, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile is less about Bundy's crimes and more about the nature of evil itself. The film forces viewers to confront the unsettling reality that evil can hide in plain sight, cloaked in charm, intelligence, and normalcy. Hey friends, I'm breaking in here to tell you about an exclusive new show that we have started releasing over on Patreon. It's called Real Hot Takes, and it's a monthly show where I can just talk about some contemporary topics from around the industry and voice my thoughts, opinions, and concerns about various things. So if you want to gain access to the first of some fun new content that you can't find here on the channel, come join us on patreon.com/embracethefilm. Now, back to the video. Next up on this week's Double Feature Friday, we take a look at Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, Woman of the Hour, which delves into the pervasive misogyny and latent threats that women navigate daily. The film is anchored in the unsettling true story of Rodney Akala, a serial killer who in 1978 appeared on the television show The Dating Game. Kendrick portrays Cheryl Bradshaw, the unsuspecting bachelorette who chooses Akala as her date, unwittingly stepping into the orbit of a predator. A time rife with sexism, the film juxtaposes Cheryl's experiences with Akala's sinister actions. Cheryl's journey through the entertainment industry is marred by overt objectification and systematic misogyny. In one scene, producers openly discuss her appearance as if she were an object, or not even in the room, underscoring the dehumanizing lens through which women are often viewed. This environment not only diminishes women's autonomy, but also creates a culture where predators like Akala can thrive unnoticed. Kendrick's portrayal of Cheryl captures the resilience and vulnerability of a woman striving to assert themselves in a male-dominated world. Despite facing constant microaggressions and overt sexism, Cheryl remains determined to pursue her career. Her interactions with men, from dismissive producers to a condescending neighbor, highlight the everyday battles women face against a backdrop of patriarchal entitlement. The film also introduces Laura, a character who recognizes Akala from a past encounter and attempts to alert authorities. Her efforts are met with disbelief and patronization, reflecting a societal tendency to dismiss women's voices, especially when they challenge male authority. Laura's narrative underscores the dangers of a culture that silences women, allowing predators to operate with impunity. Kendrick's directorial approach is notable for its restraint. She avoids gratuitous depictions of violence, instead focuses on the psychological terror and pervasive sense of danger that define women's experiences. This choice emphasizes the insidious nature of misogyny, illustrating how societal norms and casual chauvinism can escalate into life-threatening situations. The film serves as a poignant exploration of discomfort and disdain directed toward women, both in overt actions and subtle societal cues. By highlighting the systemic issues that enable predators and silence victims, the film challenges viewers to confront the cultural underpinnings of misogyny and consider the real-life implications of dismissing women's voices. This one intricately explores themes of misogyny, systemic violence against women, societal silencing, and the unsettling duality of appearances versus reality. By juxtaposing the seemingly lighthearted setting of a 1970s game show with the real-life crimes of Rodney Alcala, the film unpacks how deep-seated disdain and danger toward women permeate both public and private spaces. The film paints a chilling portrait of a culture in which women are objectified, dismissed, and ultimately endangered. Cheryl is emblematic of how women navigate constant microaggressions in professional and personal realms. The producers of the dating game view her as a commodity, prioritizing her marketability and physical appeal over autonomy. This pervasive dehumanization isn't overt violence, but it sets the stage for predators like Alcala to operate in plain sight. The game show serves as a metaphor for women being forced to perform or play along in systems designed to exploit them. Cheryl's discomfort during her interactions with Alcala, as well as her attempts to remain polite in a predatory environment, highlights the social conditioning that discourages women from asserting boundaries for fear of backlash. The film properly explores the theme of discomfort as a prelude to violence. Alcala's unsettling charisma and ability to mask his true intentions reflect the insidious nature of many real-world predators. The veneer of charm and normalcy he presents during the game show mirrors how society often fails to detect or confront threats until it's far too late. This tension is heightened by Kendrick's direction, which focuses on subtle moments of unease rather than overt horror. The framing often keeps Cheryl and Alcala in claustrophobic spaces, amplifying the audience's awareness of the power imbalance and latent danger. The threat isn't just Alcala himself, it's the systemic enablers around him, from indifferent producers to apathetic authorities. The film questions how much harm could be prevented if society trusted women and prioritized their safety over preserving the status quo. Cheryl's own experiences mirror this theme, as she subtly navigates dismissive and objectifying treatment while attempting to maintain her professionalism. Even as she senses something off about Alcala, the cultural expectations placed on her to be likable, accommodating, and compliant make it difficult for her to voice her concerns. The tension between appearances and reality permeates every frame. The bright and cheery game show is a facade for Alcala's sinister intentions, much like the broader culture of misogyny operates under a guise of normalcy. Alcala himself embodies this duality, a man who can charm and deceive while harboring a monstrous core. Kendrick uses this theme to critique how societal structures enable men like Alcala to just blend in, while women are often left to grapple with unspoken threats alone. While the film starkly portrays systemic failures, it also highlights women's resilience in the face of constant threats. Cheryl's character is layered with vulnerability and strength, showing how women navigate a world that often minimizes or outright ignores their fears. Her moments of discomfort resonate because they reflect a universal experience for many women, even outside the extreme context of Alcala's crimes. What stands out more prominently with this one for me is its stark and harrowing exploration of misogyny that permeates every aspect of the film's narrative and atmosphere. By interweaving the story of Cheryl Bradshaw, an aspiring actress unknowingly thrust into the orbit of a serial killer, with the broader societal dynamics of the 1970s, Kendrick constructs a world in which women's autonomy is systemically diminished. The film doesn't merely present misogyny as a backdrop, it positions it as a pervasive and insidious force that shapes the experiences, decisions, and vulnerabilities of its female characters. Through its meticulous depiction of objectification, silencing, and normalization of violence, Woman of the Hour holds a mirror to a culture complicit in enabling predators and dismissing women's voices. The misogyny on display here is not limited to moments of overt objectification or silencing. It is embedded in the normalization of violence against women. Alcala's participation in the dating game is emblematic of this dynamic. Despite his history of predatory behavior, he is able to present himself as a charming, charismatic bachelor, shielded by a culture that prioritizes male appearances over female safety. The fact that Alcala's crimes were overlooked or ignored speaks to a systemic failure to recognize and address violence against women. Kendrick's decision to focus on Cheryl's perspective, rather than glorifying Alcala's crimes, shifts the narrative emphasis from the sensationalism of his violence to the broader societal factors that enabled it. The film avoids graphic depictions of his murders, instead utilizing implication and atmosphere to highlight the pervasive threat women face. This approach underscores how violence against women is often minimized or rendered invisible, even as its effects are deeply felt. Cheryl's experience is a microcosm of the cultural expectations placed on women, at the very least in the 70s. She is expected to perform a version of femininity that is pleasing and non-threatening, even in the face of overt discomfort. This performative aspect of Cheryl's existence is a direct result of the misogyny that defined the world, and continues to define the world. From the moment she steps onto the game show stage, she is expected to embody an idealized version of womanhood that prioritizes male validation over her own well-being. Kendrick uses visual and narrative cues to highlight this tension. Cheryl's forced smiles and rehearsed answers contrast sharply with her moments of private vulnerability, revealing the emotional toll of living in a world that demands constant performance. This duality reflects the broader reality for many women, who are compelled to suppress their true feelings and instincts to navigate environments that are inherently unsafe. One of the most damning aspects of the misogyny depicted in this film is the complicity of systems and institutions that should protect women. The producers of the dating game are aware of Alcala's unsettling demeanor, but choose to prioritize ratings over Cheryl's safety. The decision mirrors the broader societal tendencies to prioritize male ambition and success over female well-being. By allowing him to participate, the show not only endangers Cheryl, but also normalizes his behavior, sending a message that predators can operate with impunity. This institutional complicity extends to law enforcement and the justice system, which fail to act on warnings about Alcala until it's far too late. The film critiques these systemic failures, highlighting how they perpetuate cycles of violence and reinforce the misogyny that underpins them. Woman of the Hour is a thought-provoking exploration of how misogyny infiltrates every aspect of society, from casual dismissiveness to life-threatening violence. Anna Kendrick crafts a story that not only examines the failures of institutions to protect women, but also critiques the cultural norms that enable predators to thrive. By focusing on subtle discomfort and the weight of unspoken fears, the film challenges viewers to reflect on the pervasive nature of misogyny and its impact on women's lives. Managing the overwhelming number of streaming services that we all subscribe to can be a nightmare, making us wish for some sort of one-stop destination for all of our movies, TV shows, and music. Well, thankfully, Plex has the answer, bringing together free ad-supported movies, shows, and live TV with the power to search and add to your watch list any title ever made, no matter which streaming service it's on. Plex keeps everything in one place, even for theater releases. Discover more and search faster by customizing your experience. Add friends, share thoughts, and find your next binge-worthy title. Track your favorite actors with Discover credits. See all their movies and shows in one place. Stream your own movies, TV shows, music, and photos anywhere on any device. And best of all, Plex is a free streaming app for everyone, supported by ads that help bring you content from partners like Lionsgate, AMC, and even A24. Stream instantly from your computer, phone, tablet, game console, smart TV, or streaming media player. While you don't need an account to use Plex, signing up does give you extra benefits, such as your own universal watch list, the ability to customize search results, seamlessly watching across all devices, and more. And if you want to unlock even more incredible features, consider joining Plex Pass, Plex's premium subscription, which gives power users advanced features for managing personal media libraries. Just follow the link down in the description today to join more than 17 million users worldwide who trust Plex as their entertainment concierge, helping them discover, organize, and enjoy the best content across all of their favorite platforms. Stop scrolling, start streaming, get Plex. Well, friends, that's going to be all for now. If you're interested in this film, I urge you to check it out for yourself and formulate your own thoughts and opinions about it. I hope you come share those thoughts in the comments. Let me know if there are any movies that you would like to see discussed on this channel. I always love to hear from you guys, and I do my best to try and respond to everyone. As always, I have put a link down in the description to a physical copy of the film, if one exists, so that you can add it to your collection. Using that link helps out the channel, and that is always appreciated. Furthermore, if you like the video, I urge you to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already. I know many of you watching aren't yet subscribed, so help support the channel. Subscribe. If you'd like to go the extra mile and support the channel even more, we do have a Patreon. And if you sign up for our Rated R tier level, you can get yourself access to the ETF Digital Archive. We get a lot of compliments about the VHS collection that you guys see in the background of almost all of our videos. Well, we have been hard at work slowly digitizing that collection and creating a place where we can share it with all of you. Thanks to the help of the Plex platform, one of this channel's sponsors, we can now do just that. This is our way of doing our part to help preserve that gritty, nostalgic VHS look and feeling before it's gone forever. So as a special thank you for becoming a Rated R tier member, you will be added to our ETF Archive Plex server, so that you can stream our VHS collection from anywhere at any time. It's basically like having a streaming service for VHS, which I think is pretty cool. We also have a Mercari store, where you can go and get yourself a little piece of the ETF archive. While collecting VHS, Blu-rays, and DVDs over many years, we wind up with lots of duplicates, and we unfortunately can't store them all. So on our Mercari shop, we have those for sale. Purchasing those not only expands your collection, but makes room for us to expand ours. All the links for everything are down in the description. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.